Hello trainers, Professor Palm here. Happy birthday, Professor Sassafras! That's right, trainers. Today is Professor Sassafras's birthday, and I hope that she has a wonderful one. Professor, I want you to know that everything is going to be A-okay, because we're celebrating your birthday. Happy birthday, Professor Sassafras, to you in every way, so go crazy and celebrate all day. Professor Sassafras, I want you to know I wish you a wonderful birthday from the bottom of my heart. I hope the Unova region is nice, and I'm also hoping that you celebrate this birthday to the fullest. I also hope you have a nice slice of cake waiting for you, and I also hope you celebrate it with all the ones that are the most important to you. Well, Professor, for your special day, I was going to cover your favorite Pokemon, Garchomp. Unfortunately, we already covered this line, and it was our first collaboration of 2023. What a great way we started the year. So, thankfully, I know that there's another line that you really like. So, we're going to cover them and also invite them for your birthday to have a nice slice of cake. No, Gibble, this is not your cake. Back off that Ow, he bit me! Professor, your special guests have just arrived. They were training right now, but they were happy to come all the way out here to wish you a very happy birthday. And here they are now. Coming from the bog are Croagunk and Toxicroak. Nice that these Pokemon could hop by from Pastoria City's Great Marsh. I'm glad that you requested this line, Professor Sassafras. Poison type is really cool, and I'll admit, I myself am a big fan of Poison type Pokemon. Sadly, I haven't covered a lot on this channel. Well, I'm going to cover a lot more now. I will also even say that when Croagunk and Toxicroak were first introduced, the Poison fighting type was something that no one had ever seen before. That really made them some of the most unique fighters back when they were first introduced in the Sinnoh region. Professor Sassafras, I must say you have excellent taste when it comes to making Pokemon teams. Croagunk and Toxicroak are great enough being fighting type, but adding in the poison while putting in poison techniques for their fighting style really gives them an edge in a fight. If you train these Pokemon right, they can be an unstoppable force, especially if your opponent isn't prepared. They'll just go in, and this may not be Mortal Kombat, but they'll have a flawless victory. It's party time! P-A-R-T. Why? Because ya gotta! After all, it's a very special day for the Professor. So, let's light up the candles and sing her, well, in Croagunk and Toxicroak's way, croak her a happy birthday. But before we do that, trainers, please, check out Professor Sassafras' channel at Halo Gaming. She is a phenomenal artist. After all, she has made amazing thumbnails for this channel. And also, she's an amazing collaboration partner. If you like the collaborations we do, I think you should see what she does on her own channel. So thank you for everything, Professor Sassafras. And there's one more person I'm just going to give a shout out to today. A very special thanks and shout out goes to you, HTTP Koopa. If you really like the shirts I have on like this, you can buy them on Etsy. I have a link to HTTP Koopa's Etsy page in the description below. Since we're talking about Poison-type Pokemon today for Professor Sassafras' birthday, I busted out my Poison jersey. I couldn't think of a better shirt to wear than this one. And if you think I look good in these shirts, I think you'll look even better. So please visit HTTP Koopa, maybe even buy a shirt. Oh, and don't forget to tell him Professor Palm sent you. He doesn't just do Pokemon shirts, he does a lot of other things. So, I think that he has an amazing shop, and I think you will too. The candle has been lit, Professor Sassafras. I hope that you make a wonderful wish and blow out this candle. Well, it's time that we talk about your favorite line, and let's start off with the little fighter and the Pokemon that really likes to give us a poisonous punch-out, Croagunk. Croagunk the Toxic Mouth Pokemon is based on Poison Dart Frogs, not only because of its typing, but also because of its aggressive nature. Croagunk has a gender difference. It might be a little hard to spot, but if you look very closely and look at the white wraps it has, that's where the gender difference. These white wraps are very reminiscent of Sarashi, which are Japanese white wraps for battle. If you look carefully on the Croagunk for the back sprites, the females is slightly higher up than the males. So, as you can tell, I have a male Croagunk. For its habitat, Croagunk make their homes in tropical forests and bogs. They prefer nice, smelly, and hot places for them to live and train. Croagunk are some of the most aggressive Pokemon you will ever meet. This is mainly because they live by the philosophy, only the strong survive. However, even with that philosophy, they have a dastardly personality. Because of this dastardly personality, in battle, Croagunk will never fight fair. They'll go for cheap moves and cheap shots, they'll set up a lot of poisonous traps, and most of all, they'll lead their opponent on, and when they're down, Croagunk will deliver the finishing blow. While this might seem rather cruel, this has ensured Croagunk's survival for so many years. When looking at Croagunk's hands, you'll notice it has 3 fingers on each of them. These toxic fingers can be very deadly, especially if Croagunk uses the move Poison Jab. However, the fingers you might want to avoid most of all are the orange ones, as they hold the deadliest of all the poisons in its body. Even if you never make contact with Croagunk's fingers, stay far away from them, because a Croagunk can spray poison from its fingertips up to 10 feet away. So, unless you want to end up like Brock, I'd say the best thing to do when seeing a Croagunk is stay as far away from it as you can. One of the most standout features on Croagunk are its expandable orange cheeks. These are poison sacs. This is where all the poison that Croagunk has is kept. When inflating its poisonous sacs on its face, Croagunk make frightening noises as well as eerie blubbering sounds. This is used for intimidation, and this often works as it makes many people and Pokemon in the area feel rather uneasy with these very odd croaking sounds. Because of the poison sacs being on its face, Croagunk's mouth is so toxic that anything that makes contact with it is instantly poisoned. And yet, despite this, it cannot learn the move Poison Fang. As I said before, Croagunk have a rather aggressive nature, and when in battle, they oftentimes really like to poison their opponent, so the poison takes over, making their fight rather easy, as Croagunk really like to get a battle done quick and fast. Even though Croagunk have some of the deadliest venom we've ever seen, we owe a huge debt of gratitude to this Pokemon, because it saved so many people and Pokemon alike with its poison. The poison was extracted, used for medical purposes, and without it, we wouldn't have medicines and antidote that we have today. For medical purposes, with Croagunk, all we have to do is find one, extract some poison from it, dilute it, and bingo! We have medicine and antidotes. Because of this, Croagunk came into popularity after a pharmacy chose it as a mascot back in the days of the Hisui region, and to this day, Croagunk is still the mascot of that company that originated in Pastoria City. Also in the days of Hisui, Croagunk gained a lot of popularity due to its peculiar cry and its comical feature of expanding its cheeks. It became very popular amongst children. Croagunk made its anime debut in the Diamond and Pearl series episode, Jambalaya, where it was caught by Brock. After that, it became one of his main Pokemon. It also took over for Misty and Max by pulling Brock away from an attractive woman every time using the move Poison Jab on him. In the core series games, Pokemon Platinum, Croagunk is briefly seen belonging to Looker when at Stark Mountain. Also in Platinum, in front of Pastoria's Great Marsh, if the player stands behind the Croagunk wall with their head sticking out through it, there's a small possibility a wild Croagunk may come by, cry out, and then walk into the Great Marsh. Unfortunately, you're stuck and have to watch that, so you cannot catch this wild Croagunk. In the Pokemon Ranger series, specifically the game Shadows of Almaya, Croagunk is a possible Pokemon you can have as your partner. In Pokemon Mystery Dungeon, Explorers of Time, and Explorers of Darkness, Croagunk is a member of Wigglytuff's guild. He doesn't serve much of a purpose other than running the Swamp Cauldron. Oh, and his catchphrase is meh. In Pokken Tournament DX, Croagunk is a playable character in the arcade and Nintendo Switch versions, and he's also the only playable character that can be a support Pokemon. I really like the philosophy that Croagunk lives by, only the strong survive. Well, with that incredible poison punch behind it, there's no reason that this Pokemon can ever lose a battle. It may not be the most fair fighter, but I can definitely see why this Pokemon has such a unique fighting style. However, we were only looking at it fighting. I think it's time we see how much scarier this Pokemon can become, especially when it evolves and becomes an even more toxic and horrifying fighter. So, let's evolve our little Croagunk into Toxicroak. Oh boy, I think we just entered the Poison Ring. Toxicroak the Toxic Mouth Pokemon is based on Poison Dart Frogs. but with its long claws on its hand, they may also be inspired by hairy frogs as well as ninjas. However, they also may draw inspiration from assassins in the Assassin's Creed series that have hidden blades. Toxicroak has a gender difference, and it can be easily spotted when looking at the back sprites. You see, underneath its chin, the bulbous red vocal sac is smaller on a female than it is of a male. So, while looking at my Toxicroak, you can easily tell that mine is a female. For its habitat, Toxicroak make their homes in tropical forests and bogs. They prefer smelly, hot places to live and train. The worse the smell is, the better it is for Toxicroak, as it really helps them getting their toxins going. It's easy to tell when you've wandered into a Toxicroak's territory, mainly because of its poison technique. Its entire territory is marked with a lot of dead grass and trees, all thanks to the horrible toxins that Toxicroak releases when it trains. When looking at Toxicroak, one of the most standout features on this Pokemon is its red sac at its throat. That is Toxicroak's poison sac. For the battle, you'll hear Toxicroak croaking very loudly. While this is used as a measure to intimidate its foes, Toxicroak is also churning the poison it has stored in its sac, so it can get ready to use it as soon as the battle begins. The toxins made in Toxicroak's poison sac don't only just stay in the throat. A lot of it is pumped to its knuckle claws through the tubes in its arms, but also a lot of it is secreted out by Toxicroak all over its body. So, if you see a Toxicroak, beware its body, as it's extremely poisonous. Be very careful around the red claws, because Toxicroak's knuckle claws secrete a toxin so vile and dangerous that even a small scratch could be fatal. In fact, when Toxicroak fight, not more than a scratch from these red claws is needed to take down its enemies. When they fight, Toxicroak have a fighting style like you've never seen before. They're incredibly agile thanks to their flexible bodies. By swaying and dodging the attacks of its foe, Toxicroak bounces towards their opponent and gouges them with their poisonous red claws. Oh, and let me tell you, Toxicroak throws a mean poison hook. While I've given you a few reasons why to stay clear of Toxicroak because of its poison, I think another reason to stay clear of this Pokemon is its smell. You see, the poison of a Toxicroak is said to have such a putrid smell that the nastier it is, the stronger its toxins are. Toxicroak train and fight every single day. Even when an enemy stronger than it challenges it to a fight, Toxicroak will never back down. Since they fight a lot, Toxicroak take victory very well. It cries out a loud victory croak anytime its enemy goes down in defeat. Similar to its previous evolution in Croagunk, Toxicroak live by the code, only the strong survive. With that, any person or Pokemon that walks into their territory is instantly challenged by all the Toxicroak. Any that survive or manage to defeat them are welcomed into the territory with open arms. The only thing nastier than Toxicroak's poison is its personality. This Pokemon really enjoys making people and Pokemon alike suffer with its toxins. In fact, seeing anyone in pain or anything bad happening will put a big smile on Toxicroak's face. When in battle, they'll go for cheap shots and always will try to poison their opponent. They really like to have a quick win. Despite being frog-like, Toxicroak prefer to use more arm muscles than they do leg muscles. That being said, they do not have the strongest legs, and they can't learn a lot of kicking moves. However, they are still incredible jumpers. In fact, a Toxicroak can jump as high as 30 feet in the air. On an interesting note, it's said that Seismitoad and Toxicroak are a related species. Despite having different typings and living in different places, whenever they can, Toxicroak and Seismitoad work together and watch out for one another. Since Seismitoad have the ability Poison Touch, it's possible that they studied Toxicroak's poison techniques and developed their own poison glands. Toxicroak made its anime debut in the Pokemon Battle Dimension episode, Enter Galactic, where it was under the ownership of Commander Saturn. He used his Toxicroak to take on anyone that tried to stop him and Team Galactic from taking the meteorites in Veilstone City. Also, his Toxicroak developed a rivalry with Brock's Croagunk. In the core series games, Toxicroak is the ace of Team Galactic Commander Saturn's team. Toxicroak is also the frontrunner of Team Star boss Ares' team. In Pokemon Mystery Dungeon Gates to Infinity, Toxicroak is a villain, as it's the second in command of a gang enlisted by Kyurem to eliminate anyone that tries to stop the Bitter Cold. Even though plenty of other Pokemon can learn the move, originally, Poison Jab was the signature move of Toxicroak. As strong as our poison fighting type frogs are, they unfortunately have a couple of weaknesses. So if you're in battle, make sure to avoid them being hit by moves that are flying type and ground type. But flying and ground are only ×2 weaknesses for both Croagunk and Toxicroak. They have a major ×4 weakness. And that ×4 weakness is to Psychic type. Psychic type moves can really do a lot of damage to Croagunk and Toxicroak being poison and fighting type. While we only see that they have 3 weaknesses, it also gets a little worse as there are some Pokemon that their moves won't do any damage to. While these are not weaknesses, these are still Pokemon that will take 0 damage because of their typing and these attacks. Being that both Toxicroak and Croagunk are poison fighting type Pokemon, for fighting type moves, it will do 0 damage to Pokemon that are ghost type, because fighting type moves pass through them like nothing. But there is another Pokemon typing that will also take 0 damage from other moves. And that other typing that will take no damage from these attacks are Steel type Pokemon, because Steel takes no damage from any sort of poison attacks. This is pretty sad for Croagunk and Toxicroak having a lot of Pokemon that they can't even do damage to. But on the bright side, they have a lot of strengths. So let's see what these Pokemon are very strong against. After seeing the weaknesses and the typings that will take no damage from their strengths, thankfully, these Pokemon really make up for their strengths in battle. So if you want to have an easy fight, make sure to use Croagunk and Toxicroak against Pokemon that are Ice type, Grass type, Dark type, Normal type, Steel type, Rock type, and as of Generation 6, thanks to Professor Sycamore's research, Fairy type. Wow, 7 strengths. That really does make up for all those weaknesses and moves that can't hit. So, this pretty much proves that both Toxicroak and Croagunk are ready for battle, and they're ready to take on anything. If you capture a wild Croagunk or a wild Toxicroak, it can have one of 2 abilities, being either Anticipation or Dry Skin. A Croagunk and a Toxicroak with the ability Anticipation will sense the opposing Pokemon's dangerous moves, making them fully aware of what could be a threat to them. While a Croagunk and a Toxicroak with the ability Dry Skin will have their HP restored when hit with Water-type moves or when it's raining. However, they will lose HP in harsh sunlight or take extra damage when hit with a Fire-type move. And because of hidden abilities that were introduced in Generation 5, Croagunk and Toxicroak's hidden ability, when unlocked, was revealed to be Poison Touch, which may poison the target if either Croagunk or Toxicroak attack the target with a physical move. I see why you love this line, Professor Sassafras. Toxicroak and Croagunk have such a unique typing, and they're really tough. Commander Saturn from Team Galactic really made a great choice using this as his ace. Train these Pokemon right, and your opponents go down in a toxic knockout. I've always been impressed and admired Croagunk and Toxicroak because of their training and their fighting style. While they may fight dirty as well as cheap, that's kind of something that you should expect from Poison-type Pokemon. But I also really do love their philosophy of only the strong survive. After all, seeing that these Pokemon have been around for so many years, these strategies have really helped them out. Croagunk and Toxicroak really know how to get things rumbling. Oh, I guess in this case, I mean croaking, because of those very scary croaks they have, especially when it's churning the poison for their battle. Oh boy, just the moment you hear that, you know you're doomed. That's something I really like a lot about these Pokemon as well. I like the fact that even though they fight unfairly, they at least give a warning that you want to fight, this might be the end for you. I think it's a good thing that Brock never evolved his Croagunk after so many poison jabs he took. A single poison jab from a Toxicroak could have truly been fatal. But seeing that both Toxicroak and Croagunk had both Brock and Saturn's back, they really proved to me that these are Pokemon that you want in your corner when you're in a fight. Professor Sassafras, I must say, you make great choices when it comes to Pokemon. These could be some of the most brutal Pokemon if you train them right. While they're already tough fighters, with that horrible poison in them, this makes them even stronger. So, if you're going against Toxicroak or Croagunk, you better be prepared when you enter that ring, because with those punches, they're hitting you with a poisonous punch-out.
Creepy croaking, creepy croaking, creepy croaking!
Oh, welcome back, trainers. I hope that you had a wonderful time learning new fighting styles with poison techniques. I also have a few questions for you. Out of all 3 Team Galactic commanders, Mars, Jupiter, and Saturn, who do you think had the strongest ace? Croagunk used Poison Jab on Brock many times in the anime. Was that ever funny to you, or was it always painful? And what time do you think was the meanest time Croagunk ever did that? Out of all possible Poison-type Pokemon or Fighting-type Pokemon, which line is your favorite, and what's your favorite of both types? If Croagunk and Toxicroak had regional variants, what typing do you think it should be? Do you think it should keep the Poison typing, or should it keep the Fighting typing? And did you check out Professor Sassafras' channel? There's a link to her channel in the description below. Please make sure you wish her a very happy birthday. Well, trainers, if you liked what you saw, please leave a like. If you have any questions, you want to answer any of the questions I threw out at you, you want me to turn an idea of yours into a video, you want me to cover another Pokemon line, or something related in the Pokemon news, please comment. And as always, if you liked what you saw and you want to see more, smash that subscribe button. I hope you have a wonderful day, Professor Sassafras. Happy birthday, and I'm so glad to have an amazing friend like you. Thanks for watching. Palm out!